Hello and welcome to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, the go-to resource for women who want to grow a successful business. Our mission is to empower and support women on their entrepreneurial journeys by providing valuable insights, practical tips, and a supportive community of like-minded women. Each episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast features interviews with successful fempreneurs, business experts, and thought leaders, as well as a solo episode from our host. That's me, Wonderful Morrison, brand and marketing coach, business expert, and online business educator. If you're already on your entrepreneurial journey and seeking to take your business to the next level, the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast has something for you. Join our community of empowered women and gain the knowledge, skills, and confidence you need to succeed in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you for tuning in to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, where we, as women of a certain age, share the evolution of our soul, our heart, our journey, our physical journey, our energy journey together. We want to be able to encourage and inspire the rest of the world of a certain age that you're not alone. You're not alone in the evolution of life. You're not alone in the many chapters that we rewrite or start again. So without further ado, I would like to just share my guest today. I met her a few years ago, and she brought a name to me that caught me off guard. I thought for a minute, metamorphosis. What is that? What an intriguing name. What an intriguing title to a business. And then she's intriguing herself. Every time I talk to her, there's a new layer of new Janis. I'm like, what? I did not know that about her. So her story of her evolution of who she is today is fascinating, and I think everyone needs to hear. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce to you my beautiful friend, Janis Bayley of Metamorphosis Coaching. And you tell us, Janis, what you do, who you are, and how you came to be.
What a big question to answer. So I've been on a journey since the most recent chapter, if you will, has started in 2017, when I asked myself very casually in the morning before I was fully awake, what do I want? What's the next chapter of my life? My son is going to go off and be a grown-up soon. Like, what am I going to do? And this is not the first time I asked the question. However, it was the first time that I didn't have angst about it, that I wasn't like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do that? And I need to be successful. And, all the stuff that we think when we come up with something. So I casually asked, I sat down to meditate like I do very often, and forgot that I asked this question. I 20 minutes later, I get up, I stand up, and I actually hear this voice. I'm not crazy, but it was auditory. It was an auditory experience, and it said life coach. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know what that is. I have a background in behavioral science. I've been a therapist, a social worker. I've helped people get off tobacco addiction. So this is kind of in my wheelhouse, but I couldn't really relate to life coach. Like, I don't know, kind of sounded weird, and I don't know. So I forgot about it. And basically I dissed the universe, not intentionally, but I forgot the answer. It's like, I gave it about 15 seconds of consideration, and then I was like, no. And then I moved on. A couple of months later, I go up to Canada and I meet a woman. I'm there for a girls' weekend. So I'm there to have fun. We do a dance workshop. I end up meeting someone very serendipitously. And she just blew me away. And I really, to this day, the only way I can explain what what drew me to her was her energy. She was extremely powerful and extremely unpretentious, which is a different kind of combination than what I'm normally around. And the more she shared herself with me, she had, she lives in a different country. She's, I'm meeting her obviously in Canada. Just she started an orphanage and a school in Kenya because she just saw that there was a need. She's probably about 35 years old. And I think my mouth is open most of the time when I'm talking. I'm just like, wow, and then she, towards the end of our conversation, she hands me a business card and says, oh, I'm going to start a coaching program next month. And, I don't know what I said. I just wanted to impress her. I was just totally smitten with her. And so I take the card, and then she asked me the real hook. She says, by when will I connect with them? And I was like, ooh, okay, so now my integrity's on the line and all this stuff. So I say something like, oh, I'll check it out next week. But it really oh my God, now I can't just do nothing, right?
Right.
So
You can't
I
just brush her off.
So I look online, I decide I'm going to go to this observation that they had in about 2 weeks. And I knew she was going to be there and so forth. And I went really, in my head, I was saying, I'm going to be open, but really I had already I'm just going to look good. I'm going to learn a little something maybe, and, show up. Within 30 minutes of this observation, my spine was tingling. It was like, okay, what is this And I was totally hooked by the time the observation was over. It was not a matter of if, it was when. I jumped into this program about 3 weeks later, not fully understanding what it was, but I just knew I was being called to it. Yeah. So I tell people that coaching called me out. I did not speak to be a coach. So in that sense, it's a vocation for me. And my journey, my intention is that my journey is to open the doors of possibility to others. And of course, women are a big part of that. And so, yeah.
And did you find that the coaching world wasn't, you had mentioned you had been in therapy and behavioral academics in your former life, right? Mm-hmm. So did coaching, what was it about coaching that intrigued you? Was it, because before we got on, I just want to share with the audience that you shared something really amazing. What were those 3 things? It was,
oh yeah, well, and this phrase kind of came to me even before 2017. Tune in, show up, let go. And it's kind of a book that's incubating inside of me.
Do you feel like, well, when you said it and you mentioned it and you talked a lot about, the energy flow and how do you feel like that coaching opened the doors to your therapy that wasn't open before? Because that's what I've heard a lot from a lot of therapists who are moving into coaching, is that it has such a more openness to it, to receive and to give. How did you, when you felt your spine tingling, was it more of the being version of it, or was it more of the exploration of what you were already into?
All of it.
In therapy.
Actually, I think.
Okay.
But I think the key is that when my spine was tingling, it's because I saw possibility and empowerment. So I'll just briefly share a distinction between what therapy and counseling is versus coaching. They're quite complementary, but coaching is about the present and creating the future. So it is about moving into accomplishing the goals and discovering who you really can be, how powerful you are. It involves getting very uncomfortable, maybe not very uncomfortable, but it's challenging. It requires
Right.
taking risk and action. So that in this concept that I just shared, that's part of the showing up, right? It's saying yes to something, even if you don't know how, or
Yes.
you don't even know what you're exactly saying yes to, like in my story, right? I mean, you're just like, okay, this is just kind of calling me out. Let me get my toes wet. Therapy, on the other hand, is about healing. It comes from the medical model of pathology. So it's looking at the individual as having a disease of some sort. And there's something to be healed. Often it's something in our past. So a lot of therapy is focused on the past. And that's where they become quite complementary, because if I'm working with someone, and I will say I'm a member of the ICF, International Coaching Federation, you know, it's an ethical requirement for me to refer someone to a therapist if there is some block, some trauma, something that is preventing, impeding them from moving forward in their life, because coaching is all about moving forward.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love that. I've heard the multiple different ways that it's distinguished. However, that is probably the clearest, most articulated version of it that I've heard, which I love, that it's very complementary and it's very clear what it can do for you for healing versus moving forward, right? So now let's go into your evolutionary space of, were you still in therapy when you were moving forward into life coaching? Or?
No, I had taken a few years off. My family needed me. My work environment was not supporting me having a young kid. And so, no, I had left group health probably 4 or 5 years earlier.
Okay.
So I was really in a space, and it was really hard for me to give up my work, because, you know, I had a master's and I had all this sense of worth and value tied up in a title, in a, you know, like, who am I when I don't have a title, right? I mean, I'm a wife and whatever, but you know, there was a lot of grieving that went on that first year or so. It was a no-brainer to leave, and it was still really difficult. And by the time a few years later, I had let go of my attachment to, I was at peace. I had let go of my need to be someone.
Yes. Right? Well, so I want to circle back to the tune in, show up, and let go. That's incubating. Is because one of the things that you had mentioned right away is how you described what tuning in means. Because I think that's really what's important for us in this generation of women today, right? We are of a certain age where a majority of us are in two major roles: parents to growing children or adult children, and caring for our elderly parents, right? That's so we've got a couple of unique situations in that way of. So what does it mean to tune in, though? When you were first describing it, what does that mean?
Well, creating a time and space to be still, to do nothing, actually. Which is quite challenging. You know, we have 24 hours a day, you know, like,
right. And it's really tough to tell our generation that too. So when I'm saying generation, audience, I want you to hear that women 40 plus are in this generational space called the perennial ages generation. And we are kind of known as a generation of doers. We're very
Yes.
independent. We are a unique set of women that were left at home a lot, not by suffering, but because it was a dual working household.
Yes.
And so we learned how to be independent at a really early age. We're risk takers, we're doers. So sitting still is not by any means something our generation even, it's like, what
Yeah.
are we dying?
It's
What's
not
happening?
valued. Yeah. Well, couple decades ago or more, I ended up, because there's this compulsivity, right? Oh, I gotta,
Yes.
so I gotta, and just, it's like a puppy chasing a ball. Like, I mean, it's just all over the place, right? So, so I have, practiced on and off meditation for many, many years. I'm not an expert or anything, but I started a practice when I was in graduate school, because it became obvious to me that as a therapist, I needed to be present, obviously, for my clients. So I said, okay, every hour I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to do nothing every hour. Like, I had a timer and everything before phones made it easy, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed that just unconsciously, I would start to do stuff with my hands. I'd start to sort something or whatever. So I ended up doing a practice where I actually sat on my hands for 5 minutes, because sitting on my hands, I can't do that unconsciously, right?
Yes,
I would be
right.
more aware, I would hope anyway. And so it was like a real kind of wake up call to me of like how much I was not in charge of my life, or in charge of how where I put my energy.
Yes.
And attention. So it worked. I mean, it really helped, I should say. I'm obviously a work in progress, just like everybody else. But
right.
But that practice grounded me in awareness of the value of stillness.
Well, and I love how you associate it with presence, because, that's been such a big language in the last 10 years, thanks to Eckhart Tolle also talking about that, it being in the now. And
yes,
we are logically aware of it, but how do we embody that stillness, that awareness? That's a whole nother thing.
well,
And so I love that you yourself, you know, without having to study or go find a book to figure out how to meditate on your own, just your body naturally just said, here, do this.
well,
So
I
tuning
think
in is important.
very important, and it isn't necessarily easy. There's all kinds of reasons why we don't have time or anything. The thing I would say to that is, our well-being is the foundation to anything and everything else that we do in our lives. The quality that so taking care of ourselves and nourishing our well-being is fundamental. The more we're up to, the more we need to up our wellness game.
That is a mic drop moment, audience. Can we just take a moment? The more you're up to, the more we have to bring up the stakes of well-being, which then takes us to your second piece of showing up. Because that's a thing, right? Especially in today's technology world, social media, like reels are 30 seconds long.
Yes.
Everybody always talks about show up, show up, show up, show up. But what we're forgetting is the quality in which we're showing up.
Yes.
That's a key piece. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So, and thank you for saying it the way you did, because it just brought up the distinction that we often, or maybe never even acknowledge, and that is the doing versus the being in life, right?
Yes.
And we're very all of us are pretty focused on the external world. Stuff is happening. We got to take care of things and so forth.
Survival mechanism.
Survival mechanism. Yes. Which is not our highest best self. It is how we know to get through the day, given what we've learned. It's not who we are. And so being is super important, right? To be nourished, to be,
yes,
and that's not just physical, but spiritual, community, self-expression, the relationship we have with ourselves. Like,
right.
And it's an ongoing process, but self-love, self-acceptance,
Oh
my God. Like
huge.
there's just, yeah, there's layers, right? Of like, oh, I didn't, like I thought I had come so far. And then, oh, there's another layer. I got another judgment that I gotta rip away.
I'm constantly at work on myself going, oh my gosh, there's just one. and it's absolutely fascinating. I really love what you said, though. The more that we want to accomplish, the more we really have to not evaluate, because I think that's out of judgment too, or self-assess, right? But to sort of self-regulate and to take that moment and put your hands, sit on your hands type of thing. Because the beingness of that, like, I think that's part of what is skewing so much of my children's generation of social media is people aren't showing up in a quality version of themselves. They're just showing up to show up. And that's like a lot of wasted energy itself too.
Well, and nobody wins, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wins.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying what you're showing up for, if you're, end up screaming because you don't think people are hearing you or whatever, nobody wins, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so true, because how can we honestly say in the industry of coaching and therapy and mental health that we're here to provide support and encouragement and inspiration if we're losing our minds over being that for ourselves, right? That is such a solid way of saying, take a breath, take a moment, take care of yourself. Because it's like that mask thing on the plane. Got to put your mask on first.
Yes.
So does that move us into your third piece of let it go? What are we letting go
of? Whatever is not serving us. It can look like anything, but we're not the same people we were 20 years ago.
Oh gosh,
right?
Not
and
even
there's
like
lots of good things about
5 years ago. Yeah.
Right. So letting go of whatever it is that isn't who we want to become.
Okay, right? I love that. I love what you just said. But what if somebody's listening and says, well, I don't even know what I am becoming?
Right. Yeah, it's a journey, it's an adventure. It requires the mindset of curiosity. Having the answers
I love that.
Shuts down possibility, right?
Oh,
but
I love
it
that.
allows us to feel safe. It allows us to feel like, oh, I'm gonna, work for these people, or I'm gonna get this college degree, or whatever it is.
Right.
The letting go, nothing happened. This is not sequential. This is sort of just an organic thing, creating a practice to be with yourself, to create awareness, creating a practice of noticing what excites you, what you could want to show up for, right? Oh, I'm curious.
Yes.
What is that? Like, I don't know, like being willing to say yes, even if you don't know how. And by the way, I will say that every no, lots of people have challenges around saying no to being asked out, for a social gathering, or saying no to their kids or husband or job or whatever it is. saying no, every no has a yes on the other side. So
Oh,
instead of saying no to, instead of focusing, sorry, let me say this different. Instead of focusing on the no, what are you saying yes to? I'm saying yes to my sanity. I'm saying yes to spending quality time with whoever. There's always a yes. It's just like a coin, right? The no, are you going to focus on the no and concern about disappointment of others or being judged? Or are you going to focus on the yes to what you really want?
You're just nugget dropping all day here, because every no has a yes on the other side. It's that old adage of like, when one door closes, another one opens, right? But it's sort of, you hear it so much, or you kind of put it by the wayside and go, oh gosh, that's something my grandma used to say. But when you say it from a perspective of a much more modern take of, because no is I mean, there's a lot of therapy out there just for us with the inability to say no, right? And a lot of it is that people pleasing, or right, and it's detrimental to our own well-being, but we say yes anyways, even though you're dying on the inside going, oh, I wish I said no. Or every party you've ever wanted to say no to, that you go to anyways,
or obligation,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the reality is, so, in that same spirit of being able to say no to one thing, knowing that there's a yes to the other side, tell us a little bit of what I ask all of my guests in terms of what you believe wealth is today. Like, what's your evolution of wealth? How do you see wealth today? Like, what's that for you?
Yeah, that's a curious question. I think wealth is an experience, not so much a number.
Janis, you're just wisdom upon wisdom, sister.
Well, thank you. And I get it from other wise people and women. So, I mean, I'm just passing, I'm the conduit, right? Yeah, so wealth is obviously having your physical needs met, right? Food, those important things, food, shelter, love, community, things like that. But wealth, it to me is like, I have so much that I can give a lot away and not stress over it. Right. I can, that can look financial, but that can also be like time. Time is right up there with money in terms of priority,
value,
right? Value. So I think that's how I would answer it.
I love that your immediate answer is distinguishingly not attached to, paper or coin or invisible bank account. Yes, that it's really about the experience, because I think that is the beauty of what we are moving into today. Like, it feels as if the world is falling apart, right? With COVID having just, we're getting to the end of it, and the economy and the political scene and the environment, climate thing. But the truth is, what always shifts us as human being is the experience we're willing to give, right? That's what makes you such an incredible coach. It's not because you're just so academically prowess. It's because you're experiencing the very thing that you're sharing with us. The whole tune in, show up, and let go has been your life experience. So it's really easy for you to translate that for us who are clouded in our chaos.
Yeah.
So
and that's not to say that I don't have those moments too. I have a coach, I have support.
Yes.
That's one of the things I love about what I do, is it's who I am that matters. in coaching.
Yes.
I am the clearing for my clients. And so I got to do my work. You know, they call it ontological hygiene, I think.
Oh,
Basically, you know, just dealing with my stuff, staying elevated above the, you know, the fray and the drama of
mhm.
life, not getting on that roller coaster of, oh my God, you know, and it's
Right.
we just keep, for me, it's like a whoopsie, right? Like, oops, I fell off the bike. I got to get back on. So,
Yeah. But I think that's what you said. You know, I work with predominantly women in the service industry, in the coaching world. And I feel like I'm adverse to tattoos because I don't like pain, but I feel like I need to tattoo this. Who I am matters, because
oh,
that's so true, right? I recognize that so much of what I teach is very systemized and structured, and it's, but at the end of the day, it does not matter if I created the most amazing plan and strategy
all right,
for myself. If I don't believe who I am matters, that's not going to
right.
matter. That's just one more thing to do, like laundry or something, right? And I love that
Yeah,
what you're saying is in this new world that we're really moving into, the dynamic of kind of getting back to the basics of human existence in
yeah,
the world of robotics and technology, right? Is who we are is much more crucial to the world we're trying to heal and support and inspire than what we do.
right.
And
Yeah, the
that is,
doing
I
comes
think,
from the being.
brilliant. Yes.
Yes, instead of the doing for doing sake. Yeah. And geez, I really love what you said about the need to take care, that I matter enough to create time and space for my well-being.
Yes.
And if, can I can't remember, did I share my quote or not? The
No,
one,
you
no,
didn't
oh, let
share it
me
with
share
us.
it because and this was, I found this on Insight Timer. It's an app. It's written by Jay Stanford. So health is a state of, health is a state of the body. Wellness is a state of being.
Oh, another tattoo that I'm not going to get. However, will you say that again? Because that is
Yeah,
very deep.
it is. Health is a state of the body.
Mhm.
Wellness is a state of being.
And ladies and gentlemen, that right there, if there's nothing else you heard today, our being matters because who we are matters. And it matters not just to us, but to everyone that our energy comes across and
Yes.
touches and is imparted on. And so I think that's why life coaching has been such a it's one of the largest, fastest growing industry in business today, because so much of this language, we're really getting aware of, like, oh, my mental health matters. What is this thing?
Yeah.
Where us women, we've known that forever.
Well, and what have we done with it, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, the guilt, the idea that, you know, how we don't want to be labeled selfish, right?
Yeah,
And when in fact,
absolutely.
self-care is as I said earlier, the foundation to
Yes. Of that,
anything
of
we're
this
up to in life.
wellness that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if somebody's listening to this and says, oh my gosh, everything Janis is saying is everything. I'm like, this is everything I need. But they're scared, right? They're in that space. We're at the beginning of that journey. What would you think is the first most important steps? I always ask for the first 3 steps a person should take to move forward. What would those be?
Hmm. I would say the first thing would be to find the time and space to be with yourself. So that could look like journaling, meditation, walking, whatever. And reflecting on what you truly want, and not what you don't want. But what
Yes, that's
do
good.
I want 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now?
Mhm.
And okay, so you said 3 things.
Yes.
So, well, the other thing that came up for me is tell the truth to yourself.
Oh, mic drop on that.
Yeah. So, really dig deep with yourself
Yeah.
in
That
terms of,
self-honesty is tough.
yeah. And we have lots of ways of distracting ourselves. But if we can, this has been my personal experience, if I can get to what I really want instead of how I think I can get it, often just serendipity kicks in, and there's things that come to my way organically that support me. So an example would be like, if I wanted to, I'll use a basic example, wanted to lose weight, right? So I say, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. It isn't the 20 pounds that I'm really after. That's how it's what does that mean to me? What is the 20, who am I going to be when I'm 20 pounds lighter, right? That's what I'm after.
Yeah.
I want to look cool. I want to be able to be maybe strong. I want to be able to show up in a bikini and look hot. I don't know. That's what I'm talking about, is like really dig to that place where you're like, yeah. And then fear and uncomfortableness just goes with the territory, right? We're growing out of our little shell of, comfort.
That's good.
And moving into something new. I guess the second or the third element would be support and community, and speak what you want out loud, even if it's to yourself and a mirror. Like somewhere to be able to like declare, this is what I really want and I deserve it.
I mean, and you literally just talked, it's the same sequence of tune in, show up, let go, right? Because really that's what you're saying is when we have that really honest conversation with ourselves and we're not lying to ourselves, right? And then we are accepting that fear and discomfort comes with that, and then we declare it verbally. It's really a powerful sequence of the next step, because none of it is deceptive or hidden. All of it is just, you're just fully naked. Like, here I am. This is what's up. It's just really tough to get there sometimes because we get so comfortable in our lives. But when that's why I love these podcast interviews and I love the organic conversations we have, because there's someone out there that's like, me too. They just didn't know that they were in it alone, right? They didn't know that there's someone else that has been going through this. And every now and then you just hear a conversation, you think, okay, I can do that. I can take, because none of the advice my guest has ever said is go get $10,000, get on a plane, go sit at the Bahamas, and then decide what you want. Nobody has ever said that. It's always a lot of internal processing in different ways. And everybody has such a unique way to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
And I love that for our audience, for myself, first of all, but for our audience, is that it's a cake can be made a million different ways.
Yeah, there's no right way.
Right.
And
Exactly.
you get to decide what way is good for you. And there's nothing cookie cutter about life, right?
Gosh, no. If that was the case, oh gosh, the world would look so different. And would it be better? I doubt it. Doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's part of the beauty and the magic of life is that we can't do it alone and we need each other, right? And I
We're
think
interdependent.
and we're multifaceted. I think you said earlier about how when you're sitting still, it could look many different ways. It could be journaling, it could be walking, because we're multifaceted. We're not just one way, and that's it. That's the
Absolutely.
end of the
And if
story.
any given day, it might be different, right? So
Yeah.
it's shoring up your toolbox, if you will. Like, what are
Yes.
the modalities I know have worked for me in the past? What
Well, I just feel like I could talk to you forever, Janice, because you're a
likewise.
wealth of information. I have so many notes of your little nuggets here, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and every time I write it down, I go, oh, I'm gonna do a live on that because that's so fascinating to explore more of. And then
Yeah.
I think, but I don't know when that'll happen because I think just like everybody else, we always think, oh, we're gonna do this live, we're gonna post something, and then
Yeah.
life happens.
Right.
But
And
I'm
it
glad
still
to have the
happens.
notes.
Yeah. Well, I so appreciate speaking with you. I love talking with you as well. Wonderful.
Oh,
I love the conversations we end up having, the questions you ask.
yes.
Well, thank you so
I
much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And for our beautiful friends out there listening, all of Janice's information will be in the show notes. It'll be attached to our conversation so you can look her up. And if you are needing the experience that Janice has to offer, I highly recommend it because based on our conversation, she knows her stuff and who doesn't want to learn from somebody who has had the experience personally and is experiencing it in present time too. So thank you for that. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything
Thank
that you do in the world. And
you.
until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye.
Then Lead Her Biz Academy is the online business education platform for you. Our strategically minded and purpose-driven approach will equip you with the tools, knowledge, and support you need to build a successful business and achieve your goals. Now, why women specifically? Because when women earn more money, we not only have more influence and choices, but we also create opportunities for others. And building a successful business allows us to support those we love and the causes we care about most. At Lead Her Biz Academy, we understand that women are already strong. That's why we focus on helping women unlock their authentic power and their capacity to attract wealth and impact other women. We believe that feminine presence is the key to unlocking your full potential as a successful female entrepreneur. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level and unlock your authentic power, join us at Lead Her Biz Academy. Let's make an impact and build profitable businesses together.
Thank you for tuning in to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, where we empower and support women on their entrepreneurial journeys. We hope you found value in today's episode and feel inspired to take action towards your goals.
At Lead Her Biz Academy, we believe that every woman has a potential to achieve her dreams and create a successful business. Our community of like-minded women provides a supportive space for learning, growing, and connecting with other fempreneurs. If you're already on your entrepreneurial journey and seeking to take your business to the next level, consider joining Lead Her Biz Academy today. Our programs, courses, and resources are designed to help you develop the skills, mindset, and strategies you need to succeed in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you again for listening to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast. We'll be back soon with more insights and inspiration to help you thrive in your business and life.